All right. All right. Welcome, everybody. Happy end of the week for those of you that are tuning in live. Today's session, we're going to be going through a tried and true strategy that we implemented in our real estate business a handful of years ago. And it has been a consistent producer for us in a 3-to-1 ROI that we will receive in a 12-month time frame. And so we're going to go through the mechanics of that. That was a big catalyst behind the acquisition of Agent Legend. So for those of you who know the story of myself and our business partners, Michelle and Amber, we acquired Agent Legend a couple of years ago, and it is great at deploying digital communications, text, email, voicemail, for leads that you're generating online, lead portals. And now we've incorporated another channel with handwritten letters, given the success that we've consistently had over the years of leveraging them in our practice. And we're going to go through today just how we incorporate these, given it is just about listing season. The spring market is certainly here. And so for those of you who have listings that are coming up, if you're on the mortgage side and you're looking for opportunities to support your realtor partners, this will hopefully spark some ideation with you guys as you're looking at budgeting in the coming weeks, months, etc. And so without further ado, I'm going to jump right in and get everything going here. I want to get right to the brass tacks of things. We're going to go through a couple slides breaking down how this strategy works, how we turn one listing into at least 2.5, if not 3 listings in a 12-month period. And then I'm going to show you, for those of you who are already subscribers of Agent Legend, or if you're considering a subscription with Agent Legend, I'll show you what this looks like in our platform. And then throughout the presentation, all of the content that we're going to be discussing, all of the strategies that we implement, you just can text into our number that we'll have on the screen for you, and you can get the templates. So use them in your own practice, however you'd like. But as a thank you for attending today, feel free to take us up on that. So I'm going to jump right in here. And for those that log in midway through, check out the recording. But as I mentioned, the session today, turning that one listing into 3, how do we use, how I view this, how our team views this, is every listing that you have is effectively a billboard that's in a neighborhood, and you get so much traffic that's going by that particular listing, whether it's traffic, whether it is car traffic as they're driving by, or those folks that pull it up even on the portals or through your IDX website. So you get a ton of eyeballs on it. And with all of those eyeballs comes a lot of noise. And so we are going to show you how we sift through the noise and how we look at the economics of that. Given every listing, there's a payday at the end of that transaction. And so how do we carve out just a small piece of that commission income to put forth so that we can double, if not triple down on that? I mentioned throughout this presentation, we're going to be talking about the actual copy that we use in these letters that we're deploying, as well as the complementing, whether it is a email or it could be a text message as well. If we are helping you target those folks that are already in your database, in your farm, you can layer in these different channels of communication to make sure that there's no way that people will miss this incredible marketing opportunity that you have in your business. So the first step, I always kind of paint this picture, because when I started in real estate, I was so fixated on the deal closing. And that might be you, or you might be entering that stage where we just want that deal to close, but we miss out on this tremendous opportunity of hey, how do I predictably scale that listing strategy, knowing that, hey, I've already had success in this neighborhood. Neighbors are paying attention, and you have this great event that's taking place. Think of this as an event. And most people get stuck in the whole preparation. We talk about the photos and the marketing, all the preparation that we have behind that listing. We invest to put a sign in the yard. Yay, great. Hopefully we get some sign calls. Hopefully you're using your Agent Legend number on those signs so you can track and have attribution tied to those things as well. You're hosting open houses. You're investing a lot of time, and you're investing your money as well, whether you're a team leader or if you're the agent that's having to pay for it. And then the deal starts. The listing goes live. and now you're caught up in the deal in and of itself. And now you miss that opportunity, or it goes by the wayside, or maybe you're scrambling after the transaction to go back to market and try to secure some additional leads off of that. Well, we want to change that behavior. And so how we look at this is, if we're looking at, this is just some simple math, obviously take your market into perspective, but if you are listing a property, let's just say I'm in Minneapolis here. And so our typical price point in some of the neighborhoods that we have established a great presence in, average of $500,000 a year, we assume 3% in commission income. And instead of just that 15K, which obviously there's certain expenses that are going to go into your net profit for that listing, right? So the sign in the yard costs money, the photos cost money, the staging costs money. You might have other expenses that are incorporated within that listing. Well, the other expense that we should be thinking about is, how do I make sure that I am maximizing the impressions, maximizing the impact? A lot of folks will deploy social media ads. A lot of people will be deploying direct mail in and of themselves. We do that as well, but we focus our most precious dollars with the handwritten letter, which I'm going to show you what that looks like, and what we're consistently able to do with how we include our Agent Legend phone number on there to capture the inbound opportunity. And then it's synced up directly to our CRM. So the key here is that all of this data that you're accumulating is flowing to and from all of the systems that you use. And in a 12-month period, we consistently turn that one listing into at least two. And that's that 12-month time frame. As we extrapolate it out into 36 months, we consistently hit that 3, because we're constantly nurturing these leads, answering questions, putting them into those auto nurture platforms that we all use. And then when the time is right, we're listing that property, because we establish ourselves as that local expert. And instead of just direct mail, we're hitting them with these high intention pieces that look and feel as if we sat at our desk and we wrote a personalized note to those individuals. So how this all works, this is the key to how we make this all happen. So if we go back to this, if we would look back at the slide of that preparation for the listing, we're also mindful of the marketing for this. And we use this in our listing presentations for our sellers as well, to say, hey, this is how we are going to generate maximum exposure for your listing. And what is a common miss is, open houses are fine and dandy, right? If the people in that neighborhood are available, they will show up. If they have a Saturday, they're bouncing between kids' events, or a Sunday, whatever that looks like, they may come in through the doors and all is great. But there's also the opportunity of, before that listing goes live, we drop a letter to neighbors. And the key here is choosing which neighbors. And so for those of you who follow Agent Legend, if you're a subscriber of Agent Legend, our 24/7 database manager, Lily, is able to help you segment your database, find those high intent leads that are already in your database. Well, that's number one. If any of those people live within that geographical area of our listing, we'll make sure that we send our communications to them. They're already in our database. That's how we can retain and maximize those contacts. But we can also go out and create a list of properties and cherry pick the most likely sellers. And that's all through our data product that we have, which is Lily. And she's able to tell you, hey, these are the sellers that are doing the things that you can't see, buying certain goods and services, visiting certain websites with cookies behavior. It's a big data play that we have to help you curate the best list of prospects that are available. So instead of you having to stumble through and sort some of the other vendors that exist when it comes to list creation, that directly through us. And then what we do is we create our letters, and I'll show you what the letters look like here in just a second, so you get a flavor of what they look like. But the key here is, before it goes to market, we have something that they want. They want more information. People are nosy. And so we find a lot of success using that psychology around, hey, we're listing one of your neighbors' homes in the next coming weeks. We typically find that neighbors know of, whether it's family or friends, that are salivating to get into the neighborhood. We kind of spice up these letters as well, because we want to make sure that they know it doesn't sound robotic. We're not using AI to produce this content, right? So imagine that perspective as well. And now it is, if you'd like to learn more, just text me back. No friction in that whatsoever. We're not asking them to scan a QR code. We're not asking them to fill out a form. People get hesitant around that. And with the capabilities that we have, our phone number is able to track that lead into our campaign, and we instantly will send them the information that they wanted. So if we promise them more information about the property, we assure as heck are going to get that to them immediately. Other strategies that we've seen in the market is like that bait and switch, where all of a sudden the agent tries to call you and then the leads shut down. That's a recipe for disaster. We did it. We stopped doing that. And now we just give them the information that they want. And then reciprocity kicks in later down the line, because this is just stage one of this process. Now, stage two is once that listing goes live, they're going to see the sign in the yard. They didn't see it before. They're going to see the sign in the yard. And then as soon as we get that property under contract, we send another letter. Now, this second letter is optional, just depending upon budget. But this is the same list that we are hitting not once, not twice, but 3 times. And when it goes pending, our communication for them says, hey, you knew that we listed this property. We successfully put it under contract. We don't share any of the details of that yet because it's not final, but we did secure some interest from some other buyers who unfortunately missed out on this property. If you know of anybody in the neighborhood that is considering a sale, we'd love to stay in touch. Again, zero friction and personal for that person, so that it's not a bait and switch strategy. So that's the pending. And now when the property goes closed, this is the final letter in our sequence. We will send them, hey, we recently sold your neighbor's property, and we cite the names of those neighbors because oftentimes the neighbors know these people as well. We put the address in there, and we even, because we have, and I'll show you what this looks like in our platform, but we have the ability to put the actual photo of the property on there. So we could say, hey, just sold. And similar to a direct mail piece that you get, where then all of a sudden the agents are bragging about, oh, look how great I did. But the key here is to share some of the big picture items around the story of that property, and how it came together. We provides a little bit more emotion into it. So Bob and Sue had lived in this home for 30 years. Kids had left the home, and they were looking for a great steward to take it over to raise their family. And we made that match. And we'd love to do the same if anybody else comes to mind. If you'd like an update on the value of your property, reach out to us. We mix the messages up as well as we're A/B testing. But as you can see here, the picture is not much sales in this experience, because we want the letter to stick around. We want them to keep that letter somewhere. And then all they need to do is text us. They can also call us as well when the time is right, but there's no QR code. We're not driving them to go check out our website, check out all of our great stats. But that's as simple as it is. So it starts with an incredible list curation, right? Making sure that this is embedded in your pre-listing process. So when you're filling out the MLS paperwork to get this all ready to go, making sure that, hey, let's also make sure that we are investing in the future of this business. And the future is, let's find those people that are showing the behaviors that in the next 6 to 12 months, they're likely to sell. So think about prioritizing households and suppressing other households to maximize every dollar that we're spending in this equation. And then those letters get distributed all automatically in our systems. It's a simple tagging mechanism. And depending upon the database that you're using, our systems tie all into that. So I want to highlight some of those things for you guys as we continue along. So I'm going to get into what a good letter really looks like. So giving you some of the nuts and bolts of where we stumbled, where we invested a lot of money previously, and then ultimately what has consistently produced results. So the first is just making sure that the letter looks and feels as if a human wrote it, which it is, right? In our UI, you'll see that you can script out the messaging. This is your voice that's coming through. We're not using AI to do that. You can see even in this presentation with the long dashes that are here, we use AI to create this presentation. It loses a little bit of the luster. So imagine that now in the letter format is speaking as if you were speaking, some of the nuances that we put with the actual real pen to paper as well. it's feeling local and personal. And this is a big one as well. We used to use a national provider, and they would mail out of Florida, and the postage came from Florida when we were mailing in some of the neighborhoods here in South Minneapolis. And well, that wasn't impactful. People would immediately ditch it because as you've combed through your direct mail that you're getting, or any of the mail that you're getting, some people can sift through, those that are actually personal for them versus those that aren't. And so having that local postage is key. And so we do all of that with our executions. And you also learn we can send in bulk, right? So we're talking about mailing to an entire neighborhood. We can also mail one off as well. And I'll talk to like some of these use cases as we continue along. And then how do we make sure that it arrives at the right moment? And this is all about your systems and process. So we have a standard operating procedure that we implement as soon as in our system we use Follow Up Boss. And so as soon as that listing is moved from a pre-listing stage to active, we trigger these to kick into gear. And so we know that all of this stuff just cascades down the line, and we're not having to scramble at the last moment to get these executed. We know the day that they're going to arrive. And then when that letter arrives, that's what also cascades some of the other communication that we'll put in there. So you're reaching the right people, right time, right message. If you've tuned in any of these sessions in the past, that's a common theme, but you're using the data to drive decision-making processes. And now we're using personalization at scale to make you stand out, make you look like the hero in that neighborhood. Now, the numbers, right? If you've tuned in, I'm a huge proponent of attribution, measurement, measure. What doesn't get measured doesn't get managed. And so how we look at this, check out some of the response rates that we consistently get. So again, if you haven't already, text letter into that phone number, and you're going to get the scripts that produce these results. So instead of you, if you're interested in this, instead of you having to think, how do I do this? We just give you the playbook, right? So it is predictable, it is scalable, and ultimately transferable, like we're doing here today, is handing the keys over. Hey, do this in your area. Don't do it in South Minneapolis where we're at, but do it in the markets where you are, and so you can experience similar results. And so we typically are getting 95% of our clients, they're getting 10 or more responses of the 1,000 letters that they're sending. And these can be a number of different items that we're sending out. And so think about that. 45% are getting 20 or more responses. 20% are getting 30. And there's the 10% of clients are getting 40% or 40 plus responses. So imagine, as you're thinking about how many responses do I need to get a conversation started, and what does that do to my pipeline? These are the types of metrics that can really drive your business forward. All right. So I've already mentioned these templates are all available to you. Just a reminder, check them out. Now let's get into some of the nitty gritty of what makes these special. So if you haven't seen some of our other webinars, this is just to give you a flavor of what our production facility actually looks like. So when you place an order with us, whether it's a one-off order that's triggered to, maybe you just had coffee with a recruit, maybe you're a loan officer and you just had a happy hour with a team that you've been nurturing, and you need to send out 40 letters, or you need to send some sort of follow-up. You can do that all through our system, right? And so the applications here are bountiful. And so the pressure of the pens, these are all the little things that we've tinkered with over the years that make these letters more than when people communicate, we do handwritten letters. Oftentimes it's inkjet printed, or maybe they are using real pen to paper, but they're not putting in some of these variations that look robotic. So you'll see we put some tilt in there so that it's not perfectly linear. We put some purposeful scribbles into the letters, just like a human would, because no human is perfect. And so we're putting those in there for you. Additionally, you can see the local postage. I'm going to play this video as well to give you, this is the final product. So everything we do from start to finish, you have full flexibility with your creative, full flexibility in what you say in that letter, what you're saying and then ultimately that creative as well, right? So this is a sample of that hello, the messaging that comes along with it, the postage, everything is included in just in a cost per piece for you. And then we deliver it. Very, very seamless for you. And so the final one here, and then I'm going to get into just a brief demo. We are cruising along. We're 20 minutes in. If there's any questions, please jump in. But I want to give you this as quick as I can. I know we're heading into the weekend as well. But this works in a number of different capacities. After a listing appointment, birth dates, home anniversaries, life events, recruiting, I mentioned. And the one here, it's interesting as I pay attention now, right, to businesses and how they incorporate these. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Gary, come here. And my dog instinctively wanted to come in as well. It's like he knew I was going to hit on this. But this is the emotional tie to how these letters operate. About a year ago, we had to put down our dog, our first dog, George. Is my wife and I's first baby in the family, and a very emotional experience for us. We hired a company, Minnesota Pets. I am a brand advocate. I'm giving them free publicity here, and so hopefully you guys think of them if you are a pet owner when the time comes. But they followed up after we had put George down, and they followed up with a letter, and that is literally the exact same, right? It's a handwritten letter. They didn't print it through us, but hey, well, hopefully in the future they'll do that. But if you can read the letter, what their nurse did is she took note of some personal conversation as we were just talking there about George's life. And they followed up with this afterwards, and they didn't have to, but they have a very systematic way of doing it. You can read some of the copy that's there of the things that we talked about. And so when I got this letter, I was like, wow, over the top, just the experience we had with them from start to finish. And in this case, it's not a very joyful experience. But what they were able to do is during these moments throughout the experience with their business, they systematized it. They made it predictable. Their nurse took note, brought that back in-house, and they put it into their CRM, and they deployed this about a week and a half after the event occurred. And the reason why I have this here is I want you to think about how you can do this in your business. Now with AI is able to capture, you might be wearing a wearable. It's able to capture things, or you might be entering certain things in your system, in your CRM, and you can use these things to create memorable experiences just like this one. And they did a remarkable job. So in the other side of this, think about real estate. We create raving fans in a number of different ways. You have events. But you just sold them their first home. It may have been the home that they raised their kids in, and you can really make a huge impact by leveraging this. And at the end of the day, they're less than $3 a piece. And so affordability is there as well. And it doesn't take much energy for you to actually get these things done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump in so you can actually see within our system, Agent Legend. For those of you who are subscribers, you can check out how these actually work by logging into your account. If you're not a user, just go create a free account. You can access all of this directly within your account as well. And so I'm going to pull up my other screen. Give me just 1 second. And so now you should be seeing our platform. So I mentioned before jumping right into the campaigns themselves, but the first thing is our segmentation. So we take great pride in making sure that we are helping you reach the right people, because even for $2.50 a piece, depending upon the quantities that you buy, they aren't the cheapest things in the world. A text message we can deploy for about a tenth of a penny, right? Emails are they're pretty much free. Voicemails, similar. Letters are a premium offering. And so we have to be very intentional about who we reach out to. And so our first thing is with your database. If you're engaging with prospects that are already in your database, we simply use our database solution, Lily, to help you identify the people that you should be mailing to. So sales qualified leads is the name of the game there. So instead of marketing to warm or cold leads or people that are clicking on properties, that's the name of the game here. But additionally, Lily has the capability. She has over 240 million adults in her data set. So what that allows us to do is think about all the households around the listing that you have. That's how we are able to go and target the likeliest sellers in your neighborhood. So not only are we retaining and maximizing the leads that you've already spent time or money getting into that database, but we're now helping you create efficiencies for anybody that you're looking to acquire. So you can use that same data set. You can use Lily. And for those of you who are not active customers of ours, we do the database analysis free of charge. So just go to our website and you can get started on that too. And we'll show you where the opportunities are. Then we have the campaigns in and of themselves. And so in the next couple of weeks, our UI and UX is going to be completely different. But the experience is going to be similar in how you build these campaigns. So for those of you who are familiar with our campaign builder, this is where the magic happens. So I already mentioned that you can just text in letter to 651-237-3242, and that will send you the campaigns that we're talking about that generate these results. But if you want flexibility, if you want some other ideas, we already have all these other templates created for the other use cases that I mentioned. But you, as I mentioned, have all full flexibility around your creative. And so what that allows you to do is come into our campaign builder. I have a letter that I've already created here. The letters get saved into your account as you create them. You can see here, we have a number of different templates already waiting for you. But if you wanted logos, if you wanted your company brokerage logos, all those things, we can save those and standardize them to make sure that you're compliant as well. That's a big, big piece of how we operate as well. And then here's where the copy comes into play. And so this is where you're putting in that human-like experience for those leads. And then you see your piece render here. And this is what it would look like. And you can change it around. You can move it around to make sure it has the flavor that you're really working for. And then when it's all ready to go, we just update it, save it, and you're ready to go. And that is now included with any leads. Now we just add leads into this campaign and it's ready to go. Now, instead of a direct mail piece, what also sets our platform apart is the fact that we don't just stop with an execution and hope that responses come in. Depending upon what level of opt-in that you have, well, all of Agent Legend's communications are available to you. And so what that allows you to do is we can help you source not only the name, phone, email, or sorry, not name, email, address. We can help you find the phone number. So for those of you who can call, you can certainly call. And you can also, I mentioned email. And so email is a great way to also follow up in a non-intrusive way where you can follow up with, hey, I just sent you a letter a few days ago. I want to make sure that you get it, but we're listing one of your neighbor's properties. If you'd like, I'm happy to send it over via email. And these are the cadences that come after the letter. So as you look back at the responses, that is what helps us get some incrementality in those response rates, because we're not just sending the letter and it's done. We follow up with a sequence of other communications as well to, again, make sure that we get those added impressions. And I can tell you the feedback we get when we can come with this report to our sellers, not only are we sharing impressions from some of the digital ads that we may be running, but we share with them the momentum we've created with their neighbors and creating that experience so that they understand if we have the opportunity of working with them, the level of service and the level of investment we make in that property versus putting a sign in the yard, putting it on the MLS and syndicating that out for viewership. And then so this is the flavor of the campaign builder. And then all we have to do is track conversations. So any people that respond to your letters or any of your communications, because you have your phone number included on there, all of the conversations will register in here, as well as if you are using one of the CRMs that we integrate with. And I'm going to share with you one. So you have this, but we have built two-way integrations with about 65 different CRMs across real estate, mortgage, home services, and insurance. And so what you have the ability to do is so that you're not bouncing between tech stacks. Here's an example of what we've done to tie in this capability to your processes. And so all you have to do is with our setup team, or you can do this through our help center on your own, is with a tag, we can trigger any of the campaigns. So I walked you through what our campaigns look like. And now all you have to do is they'll show up here in your application. And then when the communications are firing, all of ours will be registered in that contact screen. So you can see just how fluid it is. It doesn't create operational inefficiencies throughout the process for you, for your operations, for your sales, for your marketing, and any administrators that are involved in the process as well. So we tie it all together, package it all up, and that all lends itself to more predictable, more scalable, and more transferable results. So with that being said, I'm going to pause there. That was a majority of the detail that I wanted to make sure I shared with everybody here today. Thank you for those of you who logged in. I got my new dog, Gary, who's yapping at me over here. So if there aren't any questions, I am going to end this webinar shortly. If there are, text in to 651. I'll try to get this shared really briefly for you, and we'll get this all set up for you. Give me 1 second so you can see this. Gary's getting after me here. All right. We're going to add me to the stage here again. Present this. All right. It's frozen on me. But in your notes, type in the phone number, 651-237-3242. Again, that's 651-237-3242. Type in letter, LETTER, and that'll get you your next steps, any of those campaigns that I mentioned. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to us. Have an amazing rest of your week, weekend, you name it. I got to take care of Gary. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.